mentioned James Franklin came over. It got beat by a 24-point underdog who outpossessed them 2-1, basically 40 minutes to 20 minutes, had about 450 yards of offense, let Nico run for $1.25. And on the same field where New Mexico bodied the Bruins, UCLA beats Penn State. I took UCLA in winners because for a lot of different reasons. When you fly over the Rockies either way, it's normally not great. The hangover of investing so much in the game against Oregon and the human nature of a young, talented group playing an 0-4 team and thinking, I'm sure if we just show up at the appointed hour, we'll win. All the credit in the world to UCLA, and they got a night to feel great. I don't know what there is to say about the Penn State loss. Penn State fans wanted to fire James Franklin for as long as he's been there.
Mm-hmm.
They could still, I don't know, make the playoff, I guess. They're going to have to beat Ohio State because your chances to beat teams that are going to give you any juice are going to dwindle, and you have to beat Ohio State at this point.
While we were boarding the flight, I was able to check social media for a couple minutes, and Ralph Russo, who was an AP guy and works for The Athletic now, I believe, covered the sport, absolute diehard fan, awesome dude, Mets fan, born loser like me, made the point, Virginia, UVA in Charlottesville has a better chance to make the playoff right now than the preseason number 1 and number 2 team.
Well,
think about that.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's nuts. And going to Penn State and thinking about it and being there last week, and I talked about the emotion of the fans and the friends and the families, like this has to be the time. And now you go and do something you haven't done. James hasn't lost these games.
No,
hasn't lost. He's pummeled these teams.
Yep.
And I think about, because Penn State has a monster fan base, and I'm like, there's people that were like, we got the whiteout, and you know what? We haven't played in the Rose Bowl in a little bit, and if you haven't been to the Rose Bowl, let's do this back-to-back weeks. And you get that. And I don't know what to say, because, like I said, he hasn't lost these games. Every program, Saban was the king of not losing to unranked teams.
Right.
And Penn State's been really good at that because they've been so good in these spots where they built it up against those top 5, top 10 teams. But to see the first score, I think it was 24-7. I'm looking up at the scoreboard.
It was 27-20, I think, at halftime. They were down 20, and then they scored quickly, and then they got like a block punt, I believe it was. They scored like bing, bing.
But the initial score.
Yeah, it was 27-7.
I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then I go in, and 269 yards, Scott, rushing, 53 attempts, 5.1 yards per carry against that defense that absolutely battled against what a lot of people will say is the best team in the country last week. And I think I just did it. I think UCLA scored 57 points before tonight in the season.
It sounds right. I mean, I looked at it just from a comparison to what they. We can do it real quickly. 10 and 23 and 10 and 14. Yeah. 24, 34, 57.
Yeah.
And they got 42 today.
42.
Look, I know some Penn State folks, and I understand that you always feel like, it's probably really frustrating. And it's the soundbite that James had a while ago about we've been good, we've been great, but we haven't been elite. And that's fair. And you're Penn State and you want to be elite. And I understand. And it's a football school. It matters a lot to a lot of people. And he's gotten you there and he's gotten you close. And I just think if you've been angry with what he was before and he hadn't lost a game like this is a moment where, and social media is the worst because everyone wants him, fire him on the tarmac. Come on. I mean, that's just people being the worst version of themselves, which is what social media invites you to do. But, you know, a night like this is just going to have everyone screaming at the top of their lungs because I'm not defending this, by the way. Like, you can't lose to UCLA. Like, you're too friggin' good and you spend too much money and they're not any good. You don't lose this game. It's just this moment becomes this flashpoint where the noise that people get mad at him after last week. And then now there's this. So I don't know. I don't know what you do from here. You buckle up and try to ride it out, I guess. But like, they're not trying to go to the Chick-fil-A Bowl.
No, I mean, what they have invested, I really, I mean, because you, like you pointed out, you go to Columbus the next week, you got Indiana at home, who there's no doubt right now that they're a better football team than you. And if, you know, you go from, I think you get Northwestern at home now, like, it's somber, man. I for all you preach and talk about as a program, and you're never afraid to talk about how much money you have invested, that's a black eye. That's a tough one. But you still have opportunities out there. I just have zero idea how you're going to respond if that's how you responded after a gutting loss at home in a night whiteout, you know?
I've said it 1,000 times. When you got Drew Aller, you got this 5-star guy, and he's going to be what Sean Clifford wasn't, because Clifford couldn't beat the big boys. Well, we know Aller's record against Oregon, Michigan, and Ohio State. Well, now, you know, this loss isn't on him, but it's on all of them, and it's just wild, man. Like, I thought you win somewhat comfortably, because UCLA had been that bad. Yeah,
exactly. I'm totally with you.
And that's a stunning result. Like, shit happens. And more will, by the way. Like, we know this result is proof. There'll be more impossible to predict moments that happen over time. They were 0-4 and got boat raced on the same field by New Mexico, and they just beat Penn State.
I'm sure we're going to get into it, but this travel thing with the Big Ten, I don't know how to look at it. I don't know, when you've not been successful in it, what you do. Like, Lincoln Riley changed everything, made it a point to mention how much they changed. They go to Illinois last week, play their worst game of the year. Penn State last year goes out to USC, barely wins a game where they were a superior team.
Yeah, it was an overtime deal. They were down kind of like this in that game, but USC wasn't close to being what UCLA is last year. They were good. They lost a lot of games, but they were one-score games.
I'm just saying the team had to go do it.
It's absurd. It's an absurd thing.
It's nuts.
It's an absurd thing that they ask people to do.
Yeah,
it's absurd. I don't know. When it was 20-0, Terps, I thinking the same thing was applying to Wisconsin, to Washington. You know, after hosting Ohio State last week, felt like the same kind of deal. And then we'll get to that in a minute.